Okay, this is the big match. Neil Atkinson here bringing this back. What we're going to do is we're going to go right the way back to Sunday the 18th of February 2001, 4 p.m, which was Liverpool played Manchester City in the 5th round of the FA Cup. They've just been to Roma and won 2-0. They've got Roma coming next game, and then the game after that they've got Birmingham City. There's Liverpool's context for you, but you've got the gentlemen around me as well who've got their context, and we're going to find out all about them. It's Paul Senior to my left, and then to my right I've got Ben Smith, Ian Salmon and John Gibbons. Everyone is lined up to stare at the screen, so there's a little bit of reverb. That's why we're not sitting sort of all looking at one another. We're doing it this way instead. You've got the YouTube link in front of you. You should have the YouTube link. If you're listening to this when you're walking the dog, this is not a good one to walk the dog to. You need to watch the game with us as it comes and as right the way through. It's the old ITV coverage from the time. The sound on it's not very good, so you can just turn that down and you can listen to us all the way through. There is no sound on our version there, so you're not going to be able to hear anything on ours. So if we press play, and if we can all press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. And they're just about to kick off. Manchester City have kicked off.
Get into these, Reds.
Ben Smith, what were you doing at the time?
I was in, this is going to sound a bit silly, I was in Los Angeles watching this game.
Life's hard.
Yeah, I know, but it was about 6 o'clock in the morning. I was in a pub in Santa Monica, which was absolutely rammed full of people
That one.
with red shirts on.
Well read,
Cock and Bull pub in Santa Monica, which I watched most of these games.
Does that got a good crowd in, does it?
It's unbelievable crowd.
Yeah,
unbelievable. I mean, I won't talk about the final, but it was absolutely. I mean, you're just astonished at how many people are drinking beer at 5 o'clock in the morning. But it's great to watch it there. And of course, it was a great run, wasn't it? A great period of momentum for the team, and they could rotate as they'd done here. And it was, you felt like you're going to win every game.
The team, Sander Westerveld is in goal for Liverpool. You've got Honcho and Hippier at centre off. Babel's right back, Carragher's left back, Ziger's left mid. It's Schmitzer presumably off the right, Haman and Bishkan centre mid, Lippmann and Heskey up top. You've already seen a little bit of a meal there. There's Didier Man smashing into play, trying to drive that one in. Scored a goal like that against Manchester City, I think, in this season as well, but not in this game.
So, because he played Fowler and Owen up front, Andy, in Rome.
That's right,
yeah.
So he's,
Owen got both goals, I
but
think.
Fowler was up top with them, which is quite unusual. So it's quite an unusual double pairing, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you'd have thought he'd have gone, say, Lippmann and an Owen in Rome, and then Heskey Fowler here, but he's mixed it up.
It's not sold out, is it?
It's not sold out. 36,000 there. 36,000 there. There have been that run of games. Opposition lineup, by the way, is Nicky Weaver in goal.
I thought it was Nicky Weaver.
Yep. Then
I could have got 10 points there. That would have been a good spot.
You're not going to get many more, I don't think, in the start.
Weekends and Danny Granville presumably at a full back. Richard Dunn, a young Richard Dunn at centre back with Andy Morrison. And then in front of there you've got Spencer Pryor, you've got Kanchelskis off the right, Alfinger Haaland mooching round, Tiato in the middle of the park as well, and Huckabee and Sean Goater up top. Liverpool mostly on top, and here's Heskey. And it's games like this where you can, Ian Salmon, you can see the threat that Heskey was already.
Yeah, he's a powerful presence up front, isn't he? He's actually somebody you can hit a long ball to, and he will hold it. And he had a reputation for falling over a great deal and spending more time on his arse than a lad his size should. But I think we realise watching him back now how spoilt we were with him when you compare him to certain other big lads that we've had play up front who can't do their jobs properly in the last 2 years.
Do you know the last time we did this, I always sort of couldn't get my head around the stylistic changes, and they've gone so, you're saying long ball, but the long passes more frequently. Like everything's in the air, there's so much aerial stuff straight away.
Yeah.
It's just a bouncing ball constantly, isn't it?
It's weird to watch, isn't it? Because it's kind of like, you're looking at going, I'm not entirely well, because of the size of the screen, I'm not entirely sure who's who. They're just little blokes in red wandering around as we get a close-up. And then it's players playing back in positions you knew that they played in, but you kind of forgot that they played in, and you forget what Lippmann did. Now you would take that, wouldn't you? You'd take that, you'd leave a foot down.
I'd have took it then, Ian.
I think, you look at Heskey in this team, and he became a player who was forced out wide onto the left. He became very much someone who did his job in defence as much as anything else. But here, he reminds you that he could do it on the deck as well.
That's good centre forward play, isn't it?
Absolutely.
He's won the original.
He could actually run at people. I mean, it was this season he scored a hat trick at Derby. I think he did. He was.
Yeah.
I think he. I'm not going to spoil it for him, but I think he scores in this game, and I think he must have been up to almost 20 goals at this stage of the season, which you kind of forget how effective he was because of what happened later in his career, I suppose.
It's strange to see him, I think, Paul, when you see him like this, because this is, you're right, so that's great centre forward play. He's won that header there a couple of minutes ago. He's nodded it off. He's then got himself into some space, won it back, run at someone, and obviously the ball goes out of play. But good cover there from Jamie Carragher, almost like he was a centre half playing left back. He was capable of all that, Heskey, and it has been too easily forgotten, I think, because there were so many other good players at the same time.
That's it. I mean, I think I'm 14 at the time or something like that of this being played. So you sort of, it's not, well, it was 15 years ago, so nothing's clear in the mind anyway, but you forget sort of the goals he scored. I remember, I think there was a game against Derby, probably around the same year, where he's just unplayable. And you can sort of see, when you're looking for things from current centre forwards, as Ian's touched on there, where you're going, we'll do a bit of that first header he wins there, it's tremendous.
He's keen enough to get back into the defensive work as well. It's not kind of.
That's why he got put left midfield, wasn't it?
He's right there straight away, isn't he?
He was put left wing for a while, wasn't he? And I think that's because he wasn't shy of getting back, and despite his stature, he was mobile, wasn't he?
I'll tell you what, a great block there from one of the players I enjoy watching most of this is Marcus Babbel. What a right back he was in this season.
Lovely.
That's nice.
Hello.
There we go.
There's a pen there.
Oh, yeah, before the net falls over, he gives it. He's
gone down, yeah.
Is he going to give it? He needs to stand up first.
Yeah, he's given it. He's given it. Nicky Weaver's not at all happy.
Yeah.
Nicky Weaver's not at all happy.
It's funny because, I've watched the DVD of this season.
Lovely play from Liverpool.
So many times. So this game, as soon as it broke to the bit, I knew anyone was coming. It was like,
it's soft.
I can't remember what happened in this game. Then as soon as it broke to Yarn, I was like, he slipped pizza here, and then he fouls him. Yeah,
it looks a bit soft, doesn't it? To say the least.
It does, doesn't it?
What's he doing?
What is he doing? He's just laid down on the floor. Graham Poll's on the telly. It's Sunday night. There's only one outcome.
I did used to like watching Liverpool take penalties. I thought his technique, the little bounce he
does. The bounce we're going to get to see it now. But I'm more excited by that than the ball hitting the net, Ben. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm more excited by that. Nicky Weaver there, looking like quite the wool.
He's sweating already. He's 6 minutes in.
Yeah, and he's only played in goal, Ben.
I think he's just basically aghast, isn't he? He's disgusted.
It's a bit mad though that we don't sell out. I think is that like a post 2001 thing or what? Where everyone realised if you want to go to a final.
There's the bounce.
Here we are.
City have got the whole end.
Nice pen that. Good goal.
Look at him. He's gorgeous. That's one of the reasons why I picked this one. Yes, City, I've got the whole end, John. It's worth pointing out. City have got the whole end.
So we've.
So what have they got? 6,000 or 7,000. So we've only brought 24. So
we brought 30. We got 30. 6 or 7. There's 36,000. So we've got
30
in the ground. It's.
There's a lot of empty Annie Road, isn't there? Sorry, not Annie Road. There's a lot of empty Kenlin.
Yeah.
I think it's. I think
people did pick and choose the games more, didn't they? I think now there's the feeling that you can't miss one because
there's no auto cup scheme here, is there?
And all that. So people did pick and choose the games more, I think, because they weren't as worried about missing out.
I think and that's part of it. And I think that's sort of the both. I know one hangover and sort of a 2005 hangover. The idea you've got to have loyalty, you've got to have the credit if you're going to be able to get to the finals and the big games that you want to get to. Because again, this was another season where I remember I qualified for the finals, and flash goal there from a Manchester City player. They were all much of a
Kanchelskis.
Is that Kanchelskis? Yes, it is.
You forget they play for City, don't you?
Yeah.
Quite a trifecta. Everton, United, and City. He's got the three of them in his back pocket.
And I still don't hate him.
He tore us apart in the derby, didn't he?
He's a good footballer, Kanchelskis.
I thought he was always one of those players in the derby. You knew he'd do something in that game. I think he had a run where he played very well against us.
Never forget that thing. I don't remember falling on my arse so many times trying to stand on a football as a kid because he trying to salute on top of a footy.
Yeah, babbled there again.
Yeah, it's just tremendous. It was such a shame what happened to it. We never really saw him properly again after this season. I don't think that we.
It was after this season that the illness struck.
Yeah. He was. That back four, Babbel, Henshaw and Huppier and Carragher on the left was just solid as you like.
But the built headed away, aren't they, Ben? I mean, that's the thing to point out. What Paul said before about the amount of standing balls in the air. Well, that is a line of four centre backs.
Yeah, you're right. It was, yeah.
The left and right back are actually better footballers than they're given credit for. Is worth pointing out. But it is a line of four centre backs, and if you want to mix it up like that, well, Liverpool will just head it clear all day.
And we were a big team. We were a big physical team at that point, weren't we? But Babbel was a tremendous attacking player towards the end of the season. The goals he scored in the. I think the goal he scored in the derby at Goodison, you remember that goal where he came from? He must have run 80 yards with it, I think. A brilliant goal. He was such a good attacking threat. But yeah, we were solid as anything at this stage. And you kind of look back and you look at those fullbacks, and that's where the game's changed more than anything, hasn't it, in those positions?
Very much so. I mean, I think you still get some joy from that now. It's noticeable how Heskey and Littman are taking turns to who drops in and who goes up. Again, the idea that Littman's a very clever player is going to come through more and more as this game wears on.
A glimpse of Bishkan there. Did you see him?
It's like a god, isn't he?
Trotting around the place. So you were 14 at the time for this?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd imagine.
Do you reckon you might have been at it?
Oh yeah, I'd imagine so. Yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't have been
at the game. Come on, we're all better than this, lads. We're all better than this.
Both. Yeah, 14. Yeah, so sort of the bit where you're really into it and you want to go to everything. You want to start first going to aways and stuff like that. But you know, I went to intermittent aways, but it's one where, you know, if my dad's going, I'm pestering him to try and get me one as well.
Haman saw that miscontrol about 10 minutes before it happened. That was absolutely crazy. What about you, John? Where were you for this?
I was first year university, so I would have been up in Newcastle. I was 18. Since turned 19, and I came home quite a lot in my first year partly because the season was so great, but I used to tend to do.
It's Lalana.
I used to tend to do Thursday, Sundays when we were at home. So I'd come home, jump on the train Thursday, and then get in time to do the home UEFA game, and then I'd go to where we were playing on the Sunday, and then from wherever that was, Anfield or away, I'd go back up to Newcastle on the Sunday.
Nobody goes to Friday lectures anyway, do they? So.
Well, I managed to wangle Friday off in my first year. I had no lectures then. I managed to cram all my seminars into Monday and Thursday, so I'd have that Friday off. Not necessarily just for the footy, but that's how it ended up.
To be fair, I never went to the last 6 months of third year, so not really want to talk.
So I would have been in Barros, which I don't know if it exists anymore. If someone can tell me if Barros exists anymore, it was right by Newcastle Uni. That's where the Newcastle Supporters Club used to meet.
Alright, Carragher's picked it up there at left back, knocked off I think by Haman. It's strange how little Bishkan has been in this game. You know, he is playing since mid. We've seen a lot. Yeah, we've not seen any Ziege. We've seen a lot of Schmitz and a lot of Haman and a lot of Heskey and Littman, and maybe that's just the way the game's going so far.
Ziege was one of those players when he signed. It was a player we'd been
after like a coup,
for so long.
Felt like a massive coup.
So he signed, but he just never quite did it. Never quite fit in. I think Carragher was coming through at that point and made the position his own, but I remember being extremely excited about him being at the club, and he just never quite did it for us.
No, never. It felt like his best years were sort of behind him. Good header from Littman, and Heskey tries to put it back.
Yeah, I must wish he was on the deck more here. I mean, he's trying his best there. He's shown.
He's willing, isn't he? He's very willing.
It's frantic, isn't it?
Oh, brilliant.
Is this Alvinga Holland pre or post Roy Keane destroying them?
That's that ball.
There's the
go on.
Fantastic.
And that's
what a finish that is.
What a goal.
What a celebration.
That's the main reason why I went for this one, is that I'm convinced that goal's one of the most underrated Liverpool goals ever.
Yeah.
Well, just a fantastic pass. Just to see that pass, Lippman's little flick round the corner over the top, brilliant ball.
It's a nice finish as well, isn't it?
It kind of proves that you can slot the ball into the net from that kind of angle, which is being disputed over the weekend by one of our players. Possibly a little further out. Sorry, I'm having a really bad Christian Benteke moment.
Just say it.
It's really well won back by Schmitzer. It's a great goal. It's really well won back by Schmitzer. It's a lovely curved ball around to Heskey, and it is that finish.
It's sat up for him though, nice. I mean, it's a good finish, but it's sat up quite nice for him.
Yeah, his body shape's right, ready for it, isn't it?
Yari plans that. Yeah. No, it's. I mean, you know, that was what they were all capable of, and that's. I'm intrigued to see what happens with the half from here, because I can't remember this. I wasn't at this. I remember I was in Sheffield for this. A really weird season for me in terms of attendance. I did more aways than homes, I think, because being in Sheffield, just sort of in the middle of the country, and there was loads of Midland sides around then. Phil might be saying, let's have a quiet 5 here, lads, and sit back in, which is a bit of a shame, because we could be rampant, Phil. But, you know...
He's sticking to games, though, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. He knows there's a lot to come.
Yeah, so who out the first choice team? So we've got Fowler and Owen out of the lineup. We've got Gerrard, obviously. McAllister was starting to come into it at this point in the season, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Really
But
good
yeah, I
every
mean,
game.
the wide players as well were very much rotated. Barnby was about...
Gerrard would play right mid a fair bit. Murphy would play right mid a fair bit.
Yeah, Danny Murphy. So there was... You wouldn't say there was a first choice wide there. They were sort of in and out, and pretty much of a muchness as well, if we're honest.
Yeah, there was the first choice goalkeeper, the first choice centre halves. There was probably, you'd say, Haman. Was quite first choice, and then around that there was that sort of rotation thing.
Oh, that's nice.
Just not quite got the legs. And then there was there he is. Finally featuring there. There he is. But there was the feeling, obviously, that Owen and Fowler were sort of the best. But I remember this was the period where it's interesting how lively Schmitzer is, because I thought when we signed Littman, we got more out of Fowler and Schmitzer, that they enjoyed playing with Jari Littman, and they felt like they were on a similar sort of football wavelength. Whereas, Ben, when you're dealing with Owen and Heskey, there's a clear imperative, which is get the ball forward quickly and give them channels and give them things to run onto, because the sort of footballers they are. Whereas, Schmitzer,
horrible though.
Schmitzer, Littman, and Fowler, they're all clever players.
Yeah, they were. I mean, Schmitzer was always a player I struggled to love. I think he had his moments, but I think thank God Istanbul happened for him. I think he's remembered perhaps more fondly than he might have done. Maybe I'm being unfair, but
no, I don't think you are.
No. Littman and I love watching. I think as you say, when he could play those passes in for Fowler and Owen in down the side. Did he play in the Charlton game at the end of the season? That's the game I remember thinking Owen and Fowler should have played more regularly together, because they were just outstanding in that game. Everything had been done by them, but they were great to watch at that point. And it was a shame we didn't get Littman in a couple of years early, because he was, we're watching him right now, just toying with them, and he was just outstanding. But maybe just didn't quite have the legs to do it at the absolute top level every week.
I think it was, I think he also just struggled to get that run of games as well, and maybe that's partially, and there's little things like that there where he's going, just kick it to me. I'm standing here, just kick it to me, will you? The other thing to notice as well, which is, because it's the thing that gets talked about at the moment, Paul, is things like pressing. I mean, we've just watched 15 minutes of sides closing each other down. It's not quite as fast as the football that you get now, but for 15 minutes what they've done, Paul, is they've just closed each other down. Yeah,
and it's everyone talks about it as this like modern thing, but it's not really, as it's been shown here, and I can't believe this game's as long ago as it is, but they are chasing them down every time someone's got a touch. It's English football, isn't it? That I would say this. It's just United of this period hunted in packs. That was when I was growing up. My dad always used to point out to me, look at them, that fella on the ball there. There's always three around them. Liverpool are only doing it in ones and twos, but it is prominent.
Well, Royals managing City is here, isn't he? And this is after his Dogs of War period with Everton, so he was already well subscribed to the idea of getting your players hunting in packs for the ball. Fight for the Red Sox to play football.
Where does City end up at the end of this year, Neil? Do you know?
I'll have a little look now.
And I think they just come back. It wasn't long after they'd had the kind of miracle down in the playoffs, I think, to get back up. Right, this is like 2 years after
Gillingham
to start climbing their way back up the leagues, I think. But they're still very much a lower half team.
Very much lower half team. Go on, John.
I was just going to say on pressing, I think teams are generally set up to press more now. I don't think work rate's particularly changed, and you can see from now. And I agree with the guys saying, we can talk about things like the brand new thing when they're not really. But I think as an attacking tactic, I think teams are set up more to press and pounce. And I think you see this in a very 4-4-2 kind of formation.
This is nice.
Which is more being difficult to get through, isn't it? Whereas now I think teams set up defensively as a unit almost to allow them to spring. And I think this idea of winning the ball and creating a chance within 5 seconds, I think that's kind of what's newer really, rather than because as you say, these guys are they're all wearing the socks off and they're all right in your face, but not necessarily to settle to kind of make the most of it from when they've got the ball.
Haman's everywhere, isn't he?
Nice one.
I forgot how mobile Haman. It's stride. He's not quick but he's always there if there's something to be done.
You think of him as a sitter, don't you? Just breaking up play.
Well, that's it. But
we've seen him getting forward. So
he's left. He's right. Yeah.
Ziege almost got a touch there. Almost. I think
I think the other thing is, though, I think which we're about to notice is it's striking. Even though Liverpool are on top and it's 2-0, already that the game's fragmenting a bit quicker, in that they're already maybe not quite as fit as the lads now, if you know what I mean, because you can already see pockets of space there, the room that Ziege had to move into, the fact that there appears to be a bit of space in midfield, Ben, you can already see bits and pieces of this emerging.
Oh, definitely. I think you look at them physically.
That's a bad tackle.
Who was that?
Was that
Ziege?
Ziege?
Yeah,
Ziege.
Ziege trying to get himself in the game on Haaland.
I'll think of Haaland.
Yeah, that's it's a yellow card.
Has he got booked? Has he been booked for that? Let's see.
Looks like
no, it's all right.
No?
Can I pull on the tally as well?
Just a chat.
It's all it needed. It only needed a chat.
I always thought of Ziege with hair.
Yeah, you think him as blonde, don't you?
Yeah.
He did have that during this season, I think.
I don't remember that shaven.
But I think physically they look more like
normal people.
They do. Well, you know, I think that had yet to come in to quite the extent it has now. You know, Haman doesn't look like a guy who goes in the gym every day because he didn't. But you know, Babel doesn't. They look like more like the guys you see walking up and down the street every day, I think. And that's definitely something. That's why, as you say, the game's already. It looks like the last 10 minutes, and it's midway through the first half.
Yeah, it's beginning to lovely shot of the spring sunshine over Liverpool there. As City at this point, they go down this season. Ben, I've just checked it.
Right.
They finish 18th and go down. So we went there at Main Road and it was 1-1, and it felt. I remember it feeling like 2 drops. We went 1-0 up and Danny Tiato equalised, and nothing happened in the entirety of the second half. It was one of those Houllier away performances where sometimes that would just be the sort of outcome of endless nothingness.
Yeah. I remember that well.
But you know, at the same time, it was exactly why he was able to get a lot of the results which he got. Tell you what, there's massive on after having said, you know, they look as though they're tired, and we're not asking a lot from Heskey already here.
I've just noticed a few touches from Sander Westerveld, how comfortable he was at this point in his career. I mean, maybe it was just being behind that back four, but I was, you know, he was a good keeper for us. I think very solid. He was never unbelievably good, I don't think.
His distribution was always good, wasn't it, Westerveld?
You know, comfortable with his feet, and you know, I think. Well, I think we had better keepers to come in the years after that, but I'm not sure I would necessarily swap our keeper for Westerveld. Well, maybe I would. I don't know. What do you think? Mignolet for Westerveld.
Carragher hates him, doesn't he? Is it in Carragher's book where he said that he can't stand Sander Westerveld for something or other?
I'd go with Mignolet ahead of Westerveld.
Well, I mean, it depends what Westerveld you're talking about, isn't it? Because, as I say, he really tailed off, didn't he?
He did, yeah, he did. I think this season he was particularly good. There was a quiz question that came up recently about players that had been on loan, played for both clubs.
Liverpool and Everton.
I had forgotten that Westerveld ended up back in the blue jersey of Everton.
Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he did a short-term loan.
Yeah, I've completely forgotten about that. What a weird thing for him to do, but.
Was it Westerveld who did the kick into the Hutchison's back?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the truly great moments of Evertonian fume across the modern era. Danny Tiato there, absolute yard dog. Just felt like I needed to get that in.
We must be close to Dudek time here, though, mustn't we?
It's the season after
yeah.
Dudek's introduced. A reverse angle of that remarkable ball from Littman.
Yeah, that was the deadline day where Kirkland and Dudek signed at the same time.
That's right, yeah. That was mad, that one.
Making Westerveld the most bombed out goalkeeper in football history. Liverpool going long again. Shitting it back to front. Bishkan there, as I say, really just not in the game at all at this stage. Might change.
Oh, is that Huckabee?
Is that Huckabee? I think it is Huckabee, yeah.
I've got a real feeling it's not going to change on Bishkan. I've got a feeling he's not coming into this game.
Don't you think so?
Don't doubt Igor.
I spent quite a while down the Igor.
We all did. He had a couple of good games in the back end of the.
How did that end up as our free kick? I've got no idea that ended up as our free kick, but I'm very into Graham Poll so far.
I think he's having a good game.
when I've worked it against
that's nice.
That's
a bit strong.
He was a good player. I think he'd done better under a different manager's feature. That's not to say I don't like Houllier, of course, but I think people work better in different systems. I think if Rafa would have got him a bit younger or something like that, he might have waited. He was crying out for the 4-2-3-1, wasn't he? Schweitzer.
Yeah, the most.
In an era that didn't play them.
Yeah,
so we were kind of sticking him wide and asking him to do his best.
Anderlecht versus Leeds. Yeah.
Anderlecht versus Leeds, good lord.
You wouldn't see that now, would you?
Yorkshire.
Oh,
This was the season Leeds got to the semi-finals. Of
yeah,
the Champions
correct.
League,
Yeah.
And
Season they then
Arsenal
sacked
lost.
O'Leary for
That's
not
right.
being good enough.
was it this season or was it the next?
Did
one?
Valencia knock Man United out then?
Valencia went on to beat Arsenal in that semi. Did they?
Because Valencia beat Leeds, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was a Hector Cooper in charge of Valencia at the time. Yeah.
Sure,
I did like my Spanish football back then.
Yeah, right.
But it felt like the gap wasn't as big between UEFA Cup as it was then and Champions League. I mean, where Liverpool must have been top 2 or 3 at this time in the league.
Oh, very much so. And also, you know, we in this run, we were going to Roma. I think Roma actually ended up as the Italian champions this year, and they were brilliant. They were such a good team.
Yeah.
You know, we beat Barcelona in the run.
I remember the 1-0, right?
Yeah.
McAllister penalty.
So, you know, it really was, the UEFA Cup was, these were sides that were...
Porto.
Yeah, huge sides in their nation, really. Another long ball from City. Knock back off, just a matter of getting the ball up the pitch and picking up the scraps. I think it makes sense why you'd play Bishkan to a certain extent in terms of just picking those little bits up.
Haman
in there again.
He's been fantastic so far.
It's funny we're talking about the style of play though at a time when we.
That's a lovely touch in saying that.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, John.
So right. Oh, Alan, go on.
We'll have that, Graham.
He's won some fouls, hasn't he, Heskey?
He's not giving him that. The referee's just decided he doesn't need to, but he probably should. Haman. Oh,
Cool.
no.
It's good
Yeah, I
football.
was just making a point on the style of play. We're talking about, you know, this very long ball, quite direct, and at a time when we've just said we were doing pretty well in Europe. You know, Leeds got to the semi-finals of the European Cup. Obviously, we go on to, no spoilers, win the UEFA Cup this year. I just wonder whether there's something in that. Maybe we're just trying to be a bit too continental now, and there's other lads who are better at it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I remember the season after this in the Champions League. I think we played Barcelona, and I think they came and absolutely schooled us at Anfield from memory, 3-1. I think it was with Kluivert and Overmars and all.
Yeah,
that.
I remember that game. Yeah.
And I don't know if it came after that. That was this slight crisis. I mean, I think we'd had a bit of a crisis of confidence in terms of us against the continent anyway. But you're right. The direct, powerful, physical football that. I mean, we weren't that direct, but we were fairly direct. Well, it seemed to unsettle teams that we played in this run in this season anyway for Cup.
I think you couldn't get carried away with. I always felt that the run in 05, a lot of that's direct, fast, physical football.
Oh yeah, especially against Juventus.
Yeah, and Chelsea were playing exactly the similar type of football under Mourinho. It was probably more tactically astute and more 4 lines than 3 than this is. But it was all tempo, and it was, you know, they might be technically good players, but they could absolutely scrap, and they would scrap against you. And I think that you forget those elements. But then I think if you trace through European football, when that happens, and that is a dominant and golden period for English football, from let's say about 2004 to 2012, when Chelsea win it with the last throw of the dice. What's happened is that, you know, it's not like Real Madrid and Barcelona aren't looking at what you're doing and thinking, 1, we need to combat it, but 2, we can learn something from it. You know, that's the way it works. They're not daft.
I thought it just reminded me a little bit of
Yeah.
just reminds me a little bit of what Jamie Carragher said on that Defenders show we did recently. Said he thinks it's funny that the two most long ball sides he's played for are the Benitez and Houllier, and then the 2 guys who tried to play footy were English lads, well, British.
Yeah, Evans and Rodgers.
Yeah, it just shows. But this is, I mean, Houlier's come in and made us. You know, and of all the talk about how he modernised us and how he brought in European eating habits and things like that, you know, it's a very British team. This,
we were pragmatic, weren't we? I mean, we knew how to. Don't get me wrong, we're still capable of a silly away result, as you hinted at earlier. Those days where you expect to win and you come away with a 0-0 or 1-1, but we were pretty pragmatic, very physical, strong in defence, but we knew how to win these games, and with a you know, a big rotation, fairly big rotation in the squad. We still never look like losing control right now anyway. No,
and you know, but I think that City are just beginning to get on top a little bit in this game, but this side just looks, it's the pragmatism I point out, that is such an empty Kemlin, good lord. Just see the flash there, so empty, knocked down. No, City are just beginning to get a little bit of joy in this, though that would drive me mad. From the yard dog Tiato. I'm still furious about that equaliser, to be honest with you, Ben. It's 15 years on. You think you'd have more to do with your life than that sort of thing.
I think we beat them with a dodgy pen at home in the league. I remember Joe Royal on Match of the Day complaining about the cop crowing 3 times.
Is that what he said?
I didn't really understand as a phrase. He said, "Oh, someone fell over and the cock crowed 3 times and they give a penalty."
It's a reference to
Oh.
Is that Kanchelskis' goal?
Yes.
He's having it. Kanchelskis is having it. It's a reference to
Judas.
No, it's St. Peter. That's
So,
I know the
St.
reference,
Peter's
but
dying.
I know the reference, but I don't think it necessarily works in
With football.
With football, the cock crowed 3 times. It feels like Joe's been, when he's been sitting up on the stands, been thinking about that one and thinks it's clever. Is that?
Oh,
I can't quite.
Is there a touch?
Man City have scored anyway.
Man City have scored to make it 2-1. Kanchelskis, yes.
It's a good save.
It's a great touch.
Half volley.
No contact.
I think
Festival should do better there, shouldn't he?
Well, he's got a lot of bodies.
Blindsided,
hasn't he? And he's thinking about if people are going to get touches and all that. It's a nasty one for the keeper.
it is. As we're in a good mood about him, we won't criticise him too much at this stage, but rest assured, Julier's thinking I'm going to buy 2 keepers and bombers like that.
This was the moment.
You're
That's
that
when he
number
made the
one
decision.
check you had, lads. Your third choice for it now.
Feels John like Liverpool are. I've not if they punch themselves out. That's not the case. We go on and win the game, but we're not quite at that intensity level we had after about 15 minutes here.
No, but I think this team were fine with that, weren't they? I think this team was kind of built really to be good in patches and then to have 20 minutes where nothing really happened, and I think that we were fine with boring halves of football, and going 2-0 up. I mean, under other managers, you just seen the players and the players and the manager really want to go for it. We were just happy to kind of see it out to half time. Then obviously they haven't done it, so you'd expect Liverpool to kind of go again now really and push on. But it was a team of moments really. The Houllier team. It was a team who was very good at capitalising on moments in games as well. They were ruthless rather than swashbuckling. And I think that's kind of just evidence of it really.
I think I always thought, Ian, they were well set up for cup football in terms of what John's saying there about the idea of we'll play well for the next. They were very good at the next 5. They were always that sort of side for me, and when I felt they do the next 5 quite well. I mean, in the next round after we get through in this one, we go to Tranmere and it finishes 4-2. Yeah. And it's one of those games where because it's a cup game and it's all a bit out of control, but Liverpool respond to that pretty well. They respond to the idea we've got to go. If we need to go and win it twice, we'll go and win it twice.
Well, straight away we've gone up the other end of the pitch. I thought for probably about the last 5 minutes we looked like we were kind of struggling to get hold of the ball. But now that we've got that Kanchelskis goal to reply to, we've got a grip straight away, and we're taking the game to them straight away. So it's not denting our confidence. I like the fact that 15 years ago we're failing to deal with corners in any way, shape or form.
I'm not being the first man on one of ours.
I'm sure we were doing it in the 70s.
That's a nice ball.
That was a nice ball, that. But we've come for it straight away, so it's not like we're taking a knock at all. The mentality's not being damaged.
Who's that?
I think that was Man again.
Brilliant.
Carragher. Left back, yeah.
Am I right in saying? Am I right in saying Heskey's the only one still playing?
No, you're right. It was a man.
Litmanen's probably doing something somewhere.
Yeah, probably 47 playing for the Finnish side somewhere.
Yeah.
I feel the side Richard Dunn's undoubtedly still playing, as is Darren Huckabee somewhere.
Is Richard Dunn still playing? That's a good point.
I think he probably is. Yeah. I think he's in the drop-down championship, first division somewhere.
I think he might be.
I think there is this, we're talking about it there, that idea of responding to circumstances is something which one of my issues sort of been in general with defensive football teams is in situations like this, maybe not a 2-1 but certainly a 1-1, you'd have your stride knocked off. Whereas what was very, very good about this Liverpool side was, even if you do concede, it's not as though the whole game plan's gone to naught. But it's also knowing, well, up front we're picking 2 from Heskey, Litmanen, Fowler, Owen. These lads have got goals in them.
And we had great characters in that team, experienced guys who played a lot for, Marcus Bammel, Henshaw, Huppier in the back 4, great leaders there, great characters. Not guys who are going to get kind of shaken by a goal here and there. And in midfield, when you looked at McAllister and Haman, there were players there who were really, really strong characters, proper leaders, people that could drag a team over a line. And then you had all that talent up front at the time with Fowler and Owen. I think that made a massive difference. Henshaw and Huppier were the best centre-back pairing in the league at that point. I think our defensive record was as good as anything in the league at that point. And with Owen and Heskey were probably the most potent attacking force up front. And when you put the talent, the emerging talent of Steven Gerrard as it was in this season, where he really started to put his foot down and make an impact, alongside Haman and McAllister, it was a really well balanced team. We didn't necessarily have the flair in those wide areas, but a great spine to a team and real character. And I think that's where that ability to bounce back from the odd goal here and there came. We never crumbled.
I was unhappy. Can't left with the ball or with the referee.
He's the ref. I think that was a what do you want me to do?
Yeah, he's given a free kick. I thought he was given a throw. Yeah, I always like a what you want me to do. Appeal to a free kick given against you. I've always got a bit of sympathy for it. Normally, I'm on the side of the player, even if it's against us. You know, like I always like the ones where there's certain tackles in football where I think now they happen less and less. But there's certain 50-50s where you see them sort of emerge, and you do feel like if you're the player, feel like saying to the referee, if I don't go for that, the usual slaughter me. Yeah, I've got to make that sort of challenge.
It's a foul. Yes. Because Vladdy. Not scared to go long at all, Laddie. It's great.
It's very immediate football, so they just want to get forward.
You can just picture him, and you're like telling everyone to calm down in that situation, can't you?
Smeets always looked like he wasn't quite at top speed when he was running after a ball. I don't know. He never looked like he never looked like he was sprinting. It was like he was
fairly languid.
60%. Yeah. It's a Ziga ball in from the right wing, I think. Yeah.
Oh.
I think there's
continental punch from Nicky Weaver.
Didn't think British goalkeepers do that sort of thing in this year. Great footing again from Carragher there.
He's having a good game, isn't he?
It's a foul, isn't it?
It's got to be a foul. Yes. Yeah. Litmanen's constantly available.
Some standout performers, isn't it?
Would Risa have been
following summer?
Yeah.
Because what's dead interesting is about this side is it's the following summer when the only signing he makes is Risa.
Yeah.
The only change he makes, which I'm still. I mean, you obviously don't know what the final.
Do you think the lads who aren't playing though? He's got a good side anyway, hasn't he?
He's got a. You know, he doesn't need numbers, does he?
There's a lot of lads who aren't playing.
Well, this is the constant question about this side, and like you know, I still feel as though you can go either way on the duration is that it was good enough to win a league, and the following season it does come very very close. Arsenal do something mad like in the last 21 games, win 18 and draw the other 3, and Liverpool come second to that Arsenal side, but this was, you know, it was a side before. This is pre-Abramovich, so that sort of financial conversation. Lovely touch again. That sort of financial conversation. I've got to say, Ben, after you've criticised them, they can't live with Schmeitzer, mate.
That was fantastic. But it was, you know, there were moments, but he never did it consistently. That's my argument with Vladimir Schmeitzer. I think. You know, listen, I'd love to have loved Vladimir Schmeitzer. I'm just being honest now.
You enjoyed playing with Yari, didn't you?
I didn't.
You enjoyed playing with Yari.
Yeah, he's really anjoying coming out. Another lovely touch from Litmanen on the full wide. Ball could be a bit better. It's games like this. Litmanen comes off at half time in this one because he gets himself a little injury into where you think, shame he couldn't get that run of form either. Eased out the way there by Carragher. Not to the point of it ever being the thought of a yellow card, which I think Kanchelskis is saying, and Carragher's saying no way.
Litmanen would have been 30, with 31, 32, something like that, would he at this stage?
So yeah, about 32.
That's an unlucky one as well. He was very good at clearing his nose, Carragher, wasn't he?
Yeah.
One of the best.
He was efficient.
One of the best.
You when the camera was on.
Just imagine how much he was doing it when it wasn't seeing. No, I was saying that, you know, John, it still seems strange to me that it didn't get its ding dong title season this side. Not even the idea that it has to win that league.
How much would Tam be worth now?
Yeah, but even the year after when we come second, I don't think I ever thought we were going to win it.
Because Arsenal were just blamming everybody, and it was very annoying.
And we had a couple of tough away games where you thought we'll slip up there, and then we did. And it was kind of it didn't have many kind of big away wins in it, apart from at Old Trafford. You know, we'd rarely go to say Tottenham. We had an awful record at Tottenham. We had a really bad record at Chelsea. You never really fancy, you know, anything when we go to kind of Arsenal and things like that. And you know, even like Leeds, it was really the cups where we kind of do well there, really. So
I remember the first.
So I remember when we on a couple of games towards the end of this season, and I think it was Tottenham away. We slipped up, and you just knew we were getting
the following season. I remember the Tottenham away, but the other one I remember was, and this is where I got my hopes up. February the season after. Was we went to Leeds and won 4-0.
Yeah.
And it was one of them where I actually remember buying all the papers. I'd gone the game and the next following one I bought all the papers and just sat there and read all the papers and then kept bits because Liverpool was so dominant that day. I remember thinking, this is a real thing now. We can really go and do this. But down in North London, Arsenal were just winning every week, and it felt a bit like cheating.
I made up, I've seen Peggy Arfek said.
Vignal there as well.
Yeah, Vignal as well. Yeah. My granddad forever called Peggy Arfek, said Peggy Ashfelt. Just granddad nicknames, and then next year we got John Anna Rizzler. What a lad.
Nice one, granddad. Yeah.
Peggy Arfek said, we had a run of keepers at this stage that never ever really got anywhere near for any period of time.
No. Well, Tony Warner's nickname was Bonus, wasn't it? Because the substitutes used to get the win bonus, so that's why he got the nickname.
League Cup final
was it?
So this was around about time of the League Cup final, wasn't it? Birmingham's. Was it
Can't have been far off.
Must have been
early March.
Yeah, it must have been around about that time.
Getting towards the half, feels as though a little bit like both sides are taking this to some degree. I do wonder when Lippmann does come off at half time. That's a really good old school kick, isn't it? The way he's looking before kicking it, and it has slowed right down. I think Liverpool are beginning to funnel forward a little bit, maybe to see an opportunity. Yari's dropped in and there's Hamar, but it's slowed noticeably down after the first sort of 15 minutes of very, very hectic football. It's got itself going. Heskey and Lippmann and linking up. It's got itself going at a little bit of a snail's pace at this stage, hasn't it? And I do wonder whether or not both sides have got their eye on half time, but I don't think Yari Lippmann has.
No, I think Yari still wants to win. I think it's a case of it's slowed down, and we're notably in that passage of play while you're talking then. We're keeping on the deck a lot more than we've been so far. All of a sudden we've started to get a little bit of control, play out on the floor, because there'd been that really helter-skelter bit in the middle where it was basically just pure end-to-end. There was a lot of pressing, as we were saying, but the pressing was to no end, because as soon as you pressed, the other side were getting the ball back anyway. And all of a sudden we slowed it down, taking a bit of the sting out of it for the first time, and started passing it around. And obviously, as I've started saying that, City have now got it back, and they're teasing us on the left wing.
That's the nature of football, Ian.
I thought it was very noticeable as well when you looked at the bench. I know we'd spoken about them all, but when you look at the bench and you see Barnby, Fowler and Owen sitting there, you think that's a hell of a bench to have to change things when you need to.
This is sort of my wider question, is that I really do think this is the last time you could sort of write around this area. Is the last time you could legitimately sort of write full squads and first 11s down of Liverpool and their direct rivals, Ben, and go, yeah, all right, that's pretty strong. Yeah. I think, if you go to say 08-09 Benitez, there's a first 11 that compares with anyone's, but then you've got Nabil El-Zahar as second sub. I think if you go to 13-14 Rodgers, there's a first 11 that can compare with anyone's. But there's Iago Aspas, second sub. But then there's a couple of periods under Benitez where if you write the whole squad down, the 20th man of Liverpool might be as strong as the 20th man of Manchester United, but the first 11's not quite good enough. But this lot, Ben, they've got both, haven't they, for the first time?
Yeah, you're right, and it was the confidence that Julio had in knowing that he could rotate the team and that it wouldn't necessarily be detrimental to the result. I think you felt that McAllister or Gerrard could come in, Haman could come out. We had options. I think the back four played pretty much all the way through, and we didn't have a great deal of flexibility. If Huppier picked up a big injury, or
you probably stop Carragher and go Ziege left back.
That's maybe. But I think in midfield, and up front is where you see, a bunch of options that we just haven't had. It doesn't feel like we've had that depth since, in comparison to our rivals. I think Abramovich changed a lot. Suddenly Chelsea came in a few years after and bought a squad that completely embarrassed what we had, and since then it's been a case of playing catch up in terms of the depth of the squad, the quality depth of the squad. We've had numbers, but we've never had that quality. Again, I think that's a fair point. Yeah.
You trying to say we should have won the league?
Yeah. I think it's the last time where I think you can say that and it'd be fair. I think it gets
the Rodgers one sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also ridiculous to say that about Brendan Rodgers, and I think it's ridiculous to say that about Benitez and 08-09.
I don't know. I think the Benitez team. I think 08-09 could have won.
Well, no, I think
the problem was
no. I think you could have made a case for them deserving to have won the league.
No, I think both of the sides 08-09 and 13-14 deserve to win the league. But what I mean is, I think you can probably the last time you can say X should.
Yeah.
It's possibly around this time. Whereas I do think that I think that the others, I think there's overperformance, or there's the fact that they just got into a certain run or a certain groove, and managers did really well in that. I mean, 08-09, as I say, is when you looked at what United had up front, they had Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, Berbatov. We had Torres, and that was about it, really. You know, you got Gerrard playing off and getting a lot of goals. Dirk sort of doing stuff from right mid, but then the next one on the list is Elzar. And that's where I do think, you know, you can. That's what I'm saying. What do you think, John, on my shoulds?
No, I think that's right, but it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because
I think he's unlucky with the Arsenal side, to be fair to him.
Maybe, but there's always someone, isn't there? And I think Rafa's probably unluckier. It's funny because it's seen as a period of success, isn't it? And it's seen as a time where Liverpool kind of got its mojo back, if you like, and Liverpool got back to winning stuff, and that kind of helped towards 2005, and no one ever really says, well, maybe actually they should have done a bit more, considering what the manager did manage to put together.
I think there's you know, I don't think it's necessarily this season. I think that
hey, excellent, well in, boys. I'm not going to say what it was. You saw it yourself.
I didn't try to check my phone, but it's all right.
There was some
hand gestures,
excellent hand gestures
towards the former Manchester United man.
Yeah.
You know, no, I think that there's it is sort of. I've always thought that the 02-03 season, even despite the summer recruitment that people like to talk about at that time, there is a thing in my head which is that, you know, when Liverpool go to Middlesbrough and get beat 1-0 and all that sort of stuff in that game, I would like to put that one in the context with the full league table, if it'll do it for me.
Liverpool would have gone what? How many points clear? Unbeaten to that point, right?
If Liverpool had beaten, Liverpool were unbeaten to that point, and if Liverpool had beaten Middlesbrough that day, they'd have found themselves 4 points clear of Arsenal. But then they would have been simultaneously 10 clear of Chelsea. So it would have effectively, even after a sort of 13 league games of the season, looked a lot like a two-horse race.
And then the results went from that. It was a bad November, wasn't it?
Absolutely dropped off a cliff, and that might have been the opportunity. Who's been your man of the first half? Before we let everyone else watch the second half on their own without us jabbering on, Paul Senior?
Haman, I think, but maybe Littman, yeah.
John Gibbons?
Yeah, Haman. Quietly brilliant.
Ian Salmon?
I think Haman, he's been fantastic in the middle, but Littman has played some gorgeous football.
It's good.
Delia, man, I just forget how good a player he was at this stage. You know, he's been absolutely everywhere.
There's been no fourth official either. What's all that about?
No board whacked out. I think we can presume it's going to be a 1 minute. They used to sort it out for themselves, Paul. It was magic.
I've enjoyed this though. I was just thinking, this is what my mum thinks I do every day. It's like, did you say, well, watching football and talk about it? I'm like, no, it's a lot more complicated than that. But today, it absolutely isn't.
Yeah. Tweet it again.
Come on.
That was unreal.
Is that not a book?
Get him in the book.
No.
Come on, Paul.
Go to.
That's assault.
It's a forwards tackle.
Yeah, striker's challenge. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Okay,
he's not that kind of player.
Feed the goat and he'll kneecap you.
Harlan, City captain, I've just noticed. Will Liverpool do anything from the first free kick just before the break? I'm going to tell you now, it's not going to go in. Sorry for ruining the magic.
I'm going to get a pie.
Sorry for ruining the magic. But it will presumably be the last action of the first half. The trainer hasn't been on at any point.
There's no magic spray on the floor.
There's not magic spray on the floor, but that looks about yards. Not bad. I'll take that.
That's another point, because there's been a couple of bad tackles now.
Bang.
They've got up.
Yeah, people got up very quickly.
We did not have that.
Yeah, Graham, what are you doing?
Graham's given the half. There's your half. That has been the end of the first half. Liverpool now kicking towards the cop. There's been changes at half time. Huge thank you to Andy Heaton for putting this together technically and all that sort of stuff. And massive thanks for coming down and enjoying the first half of this with us. To Paul Senior, to Ben Smith, to Ian Salmon and John Gibbons. Feel free to cut loose, watch the rest of the game on your Saturday afternoon or whenever you're watching this. But that's been the second big match for the Anfield wrap, and I feel as though it's been a big success. See you next time.